I had a one-night stand with the domineering CEO, and he tossed me a check for millions. My best friend, however, preemptively refused it for me, her face full of arrogance. But suddenly, countless comments flashed through my mind. Look, my scheming best friend is putting on an act again. She's been wanting to steal the lead for ages. I glanced at her flushed cheeks and immediately flashed my QR code for payment. Sure, wire it. The room fell silent. Gideon froze, clearly not expecting me to be so blunt. On the live stream, the chat exploded. Unbelievable. She has no shame at all. The male lead must have never seen anyone so greedy. The female lead is chaste and elegant. She's the only one worthy of him. After a moment, Gideon narrowed his eyes and pressed his lips tight. I thought you'll only feel at ease if I take your money, won't you? I cut him off with a smile. It was just an accident. We'll clean it up and move on. Besides, what's given freely should be received freely. That surprised Gideon. The indifference in his eyes gave way to curiosity. I knew you were at Kingsborough University, but I didn't expect you to be the type to quote scripture. Lena chimed in. Mr. Hart, you may be rich, but that doesn't give you the right to dig into our backgrounds. That's insulting. Insulting? I let out a cold laugh. In my previous life, I thought taking the money was insulting. Later, I learned that what was really insulting was having no money. I lifted my gaze to Gideon. I grew up in an orphanage. I paid my tuition by transcribing scriptures, so I picked up a little along the way. If you ever need that kind of work, you can reach me. Hearing this, Gideon was stunned for a moment. After a beat, he pulled out his phone and said, in that case, let's exchange contacts. After saving my contact, Gideon glanced at me and added, I'll transfer 10 million. You shouldn't have to worry about tuition again. Lena's face hardened. Evelyn, if you think of me as your friend, don't take that money. Why not? I retorted. If we don't share the same values, we don't need to be friends. Lena looked stunned and started to speak, but Gideon silenced her with a cold glance. This is between Evelyn and me. If you're done lecturing, you can see yourself out. Right on cue, a bodyguard stepped forward. Seeing that, the color drained from Lena's face. She slammed the door on her way out. The live stream chat went wild again. Wait, what? The male lead is defending the side character? This plot is way off the rails. I lowered my eyes and smiled. Who cared about the plot? This time, I only cared about getting paid. Back at the dorm, the atmosphere seemed strange. My roommates looked at me like I had just crawled out of a sewer, their faces twisted with disgust. Evelyn, how could you do that to Lena? She was just trying to help you and you dumped her for a man and his money. You ditch your friend for a man? Seriously? Lena's eyes filled with tears and she rushed to smooth things over. Don't blame Evelyn. She just got swept up by that man. She'll regret it once she thinks it through. The chat flooded again. Lena is so kind. What an angel. Evelyn really thinks she can compete? Watch her get wrecked. Lena lowered her lashes, all grace and mercy. Yet I didn't miss the flash of triumph in her eyes. In my previous life, I didn't tell anyone about Gideon, but rumors spread like wildfire. Looking back, it was obvious who fanned the flames. My roommates only grew angrier. You're love-struck. You chose money and a man over your friend. We don't want you here. Get out. Lena stepped in like a peacemaker. Don't be like that. It isn't necessary. It's Gideon's fault, not hers. Evelyn, I know you're embarrassed. Give me his contact details and I'll talk to him for you. She sounded like she was being kind, but her eyes betrayed her greed. I sneered. No need. I'm moving out. Lena stared at me in shock like she couldn't believe I had really said that. She wanted to say something, but another roommate beat her to it. Just let her go. I picked up my suitcase and walked out without looking back. I could afford a better life now. Why wouldn't I take it? Before long, I had the keys to my new house. The comments section flooded with mockery. Look at this nobody who can't handle money. How long do you think hush money for your body lasts? Just wait until Lena ends up with Gideon. You'll get what's coming. I glanced over at the comments, a smile tugging at my lips. Who knew if Lena could even get Gideon's number? Right now, she was probably in the dorm, throwing a tantrum and smashing things. That night, I sat on the balcony with a cup of tea. The evening breeze brushed against my skin, and suddenly, my last memory from my previous life surfaced in my mind. I was in a shabby rental with drafts cutting through the thin walls, shivering alone until the cold slowly devoured me. I pulled the blanket tighter and let out a bitter laugh. Money really could buy anything. I opened my contacts list and found Gideon's name. I hesitated for a while before I finally typed a short message. After carefully choosing my words and rewriting it twice, I finally hit send. Mr. Hart, do you have a minute to talk? The screen glowed in the dark, but no reply came. I felt neither anxious nor angry. It was just what I had expected. Gideon was the kind of man who kept his distance and never rushed to respond. I put my phone away and went to sleep. What I didn't know was that while I slept, an anonymous post was rapidly spreading on Kingsborough University's forum. The title, with its suggestive wording, was clickbait, and the photos were just ambiguous enough to stir attention. The post quickly made its way to the trending list. The next morning, the ringing of my phone jolted me awake. My professor, Felicity Eldridge, sounded stern over the line. Evelyn, come to campus now. You're going to have to explain this. The moment I stepped into her office, Professor Eldridge nearly poked me in the nose with her finger. Evelyn, do you have no shame? You're a student. You should be studying, but this is what you choose to do? Disgraceful. I blinked, my mind going blank. I don't understand. What are you talking about? Drop the act. She slammed a palm on the desk, her face flushed with fury. Just then, Lena spoke up softly. Evelyn, just admit it. Otherwise, Professor Eldridge can't cover for you. I turned my head toward her. What did you tell her? Her eyes welled up at once. I'm saying this as your friend. Don't blame Professor Eldridge for being upset. She's only looking out for you. Professor Eldridge snorted. Save it, Evelyn. You had a one-night stand and yet you don't have the nerve to admit it? You think we don't know? The photos are everywhere. My chest tightened. That's not true. You're still denying it? Fine, let's see you talk your way out of this. Professor Eldridge shoved her phone at me. The screen displayed the anonymous post with a blurry screenshot of surveillance footage of a man carrying me into a hotel room. I drew in a sharp breath as a chill ran through my veins. The silhouette was unmistakable. The only time a man had carried me into a hotel was that night with Gideon. That night, I had been on a catering shift at the hotel. I was taking plates to a private room when, all of a sudden, I felt dizzy. I told myself it was just the long hours and too little rest, then forced myself to push through. The next thing I knew, the world went black. When I opened my eyes again, it was already the next day, and lying next to me was none other than Gideon. With a complicated expression, he told me the truth. I had gotten caught up in a mess because of him. He promised to find out who was behind it and give me an explanation. I could hardly believe it. With his money and influence, how had the surveillance footage leaked and ended up all over the university forum? Professor Eldridge looked at me with open contempt. I can't believe you're one of my students. This is absolutely disgraceful. Lena lowered her gaze, but the corners of her lips nearly curled up. I froze in place, my chest tightening so much that it hurt to breathe. I couldn't say that the man was Gideon. I had taken his money, which meant I had agreed to end it there. Dragging him into it would only hurt both of us, so I had no choice but to deny it. The photo is fake. Someone set me up. I was working a shift at the hotel, that's all. Professor Eldridge hesitated. She knew my background and my grades. For a moment, her expression wavered. Professor Eldridge. Lena cut in softly, her voice trembling just enough. Evelyn took that man's money yesterday. She even moved out of the dorm to live with him. You're lying, I snapped, staring at her. She didn't even flinch. Then show your transfer history. If you're innocent, prove it. Then, she turned to Professor Eldridge and sighed. I didn't want to say anything, but if word of this gets out, it'll damage the university's reputation. Professor Eldridge's expression hardened. Hand over your phone. I'll verify it myself. Otherwise, I'll process your withdrawal from the university right now. I froze, my pulse pounding in my ears. Meanwhile, Lena folded her arms, savoring the moment. The livestream comments were already piling on. Gold diggers always crash and burn. She's just a side character. How dare she compete with Lena? Wait till they kick her out of Kingsborough University. She even dreamed of clinging to Gideon. Shameless. Lena snatched my phone and swiped across the screen before holding it up to show Professor Eldridge. The screen showed my chat with Gideon. The transfer receipt was right at the top, and below it was a message I had sent. But he hadn't replied to me. A flash of triumph crossed Lena's eyes, as if this was exactly what she had planned. She leaned in and whispered softly so only I could hear, her voice dripping with malice. You really think Mr. Hart wants you? Stop dreaming. You're nothing but a plaything to him. Then, she straightened and handed the phone to Professor Eldridge. This is proof. Professor Eldridge's expression darkened. In that case, we'll post a public announcement. People like you don't deserve to be at Kingsborough University. My throat tightened, and a chill spread through my fingers until they went numb. Lena watched me with a satisfied smile, as though she was looking at someone who was already doomed. Just then, my phone buzzed in Professor Eldridge's hand. Gideon, who had been silent until now, had finally reached out to me.